I want to thank all of you for coming to celebrate Larry's life and to support Katrina in the grieving process. I'm going to give a brief history of Larry's life. It would be impossible to give all the details, but it's important to acknowledge some of the important things that happened in his life. And after that, we'll have a song, and then we'll be giving anybody who wants to share an opportunity to share a little bit about your experience of Larry. Larry Rosio was born on January 31st, 1942, in Casper, Wyoming, at home, becoming the youngest of four. His siblings were Barbara, Dale, and Richard. When he was 4 months old, his mother left the family, leaving Edward, his father, to raise them. After his wife left, Edward changed their name to Roberta so that she would not be able to find them. Over Larry's growing up years, Edward was married to or involved with several women. The children were not a priority to these women, so often the siblings managed on their own. Larry struggled in school with an undiagnosed learning disability. He was never able to learn to read and was often told he was stupid. Though this affected him, he never let it define him. In those years, he learned to work hard, sometimes working alongside his father. He left home at a young age and learned to manage life in a world that expects you to read. He was able to get a driver's license, apply for jobs, and manage his finances, with few people ever guessing that he could not read. Because of his ability to solve problems, he not only survived, he thrived. Larry worked at many different types of jobs, from working in orchards, cattle, and horse ranches, and as a custodian. He was never afraid of hard work. His career became roofing, learning to apply and repair all types of roof coverings. He became known for his ability to solve problems and take care of other roofers' mistakes. He was trustworthy and always fulfilled his obligations. His work took him to many different states, including Texas, California, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, Utah, and Idaho. Larry had two sons, Larry and Jim, with his first wife. When his wife passed away, the boys were placed in foster care. He had two more children, Renee and Tracy, with his second wife. He left his second wife because she was unfaithful. He did not trust easily because of these life experiences. He did not complain about how bad life had been, nor did he use past events as an excuse. He used these experiences to learn independence, strength, trustworthiness, courage, and stubbornness that kept him going when others might have given up. He met Katrina at a bar called Shorty's. Katrina was stood up on a date, and Larry stepped in to save the night, spending the evening talking and dancing. Soon after, Katrina showed up at the trailer court where he was staying. He always said she followed me home and wouldn't leave. Katrina was the love of his life. He knew he could trust her with his deepest secrets. She became his partner, confidant, and helper in all things for almost 26 years. Though he was a deeply private person, he was always generous with his talents, time, and resources. He adopted Katrina's family, taking care of them and helping with problems, even if it meant traveling clear across the country. He also loved sharing the fun times, taking them to Disneyland and camping. He loved to surprise family and friends, often showing up when least expected. He also shared his love and discipline, wisdom, and kindness. As Larry got older, he was forced to retire because he could no longer see the edge of the roof. Kind of important when you're roofing. Though he could no longer roof professionally, he still had a craving to build and create. In retirement, he and Katrina spent their time helping friends, family, and neighbors with small and big projects like remodeling, building decks, patios, and installing flooring. In their spare time, they gardened and made their home into a showcase. Larry was always creating craft projects like clocks, coasters, breadboards, and birdhouses to give away. Larry was my brother-in-law, but more importantly, he was my friend. As he became less able to make things and share his skills, he spent more time sharing the stories of his life. He was a man of integrity, strength, and caring. He could identify problems and find solutions. His ability to read was never evidence of a lack in Larry. His true strength was his generosity, creativity, and problem-solving ability. I feel enriched to have been his friend.
Want to spread my wings and fly away to the sky. How I dream to be so free. No more sadness, no more pain, no more anger, no more hate. How I dream to have those wings and fly to the sky. If
And I'd like to give anybody who would like to share a chance to do that.
I'll be first. As my dad said, Larry was a man of a few words, but they were often very profound when he spoke. Many times throughout my life, Larry has stepped in and helped with various projects. Remodeling of the little White House on the ranch was a particularly entertaining one, especially when we decided to drop a shower through the roof, which meant cutting a giant hole in it and then repairing it. And all he did was look at me and he goes, "Well, we did that backwards." The last project my wife and I were working on was the barn for our horses. And Larry just turned to look at me after we had gotten the roof on it. And he goes, "Well, at least you learned something." Praise was hard to come by from Larry. And in that moment, it was good to know that I had his seal of approval on a project that we had tackled on our own with very little oversight. Larry was a great role model for a lot of people. His hard work and dedication was something to be emulated and looked after. As my father put it, his disability was not a disability because he did not allow it to define him. It's one of the biggest lessons I always learned from Larry, is that you write what other people view you as. Thank you.
Grandpa Larry and I, we had some hard times the last few years, but I still remember being younger and all the flannels I used to steal from him. My stepmom hated those flannels, but I would wear them all the time to school and around the house, no matter how holy they got. And I remember the roofing trips. Roseburg was one of my favorites. I ended up getting sick going swimming with the daughter of the house we were at, and him telling us to be careful while we were on the roofs helping him, teaching us how to staple the roofing on, and all the little projects we did when we used to go up to Tri-Cities, and we used to make little birdies out of the wood and paint them and stick them all around the house when we came back down to Idaho. We may not have talked a lot, but he taught me hard work, get you where you need to go, and I always knew that even if we didn't talk a lot, he would always be there, and I knew I could count on him if I ever needed anything. I miss him, and I loved him.
Well, I thought long and hard the last couple weeks of what I wanted to say today. It's even sitting on my computer at home. But I didn't think something, I don't know, long and thought out was something I should do today. I can remember one of the first jobs I helped Larry on. Y'all can see it. It's over on the corner of Cole and Ustick. All the Spanish tile that's over there, next to the new library. It was after my first divorce. I was between jobs, and Larry's like, "Well, come help me do this roof." I'm like, "Okay, I'll pay you." "Oh, that's great." So I go over, and he's showing me how to prep and everything, and he's like, "Okay, let's get these tiles over to the other side of the roof, because of course they load them all over here, and you have to pack them all the way over there." So he goes over, He picks up 10 tiles, starts across the roof, and I'm like, oh, I got this, yeah. No, I don't. He was definitely a strong man and more than just his physical abilities. To watch him go across that roof, we spent probably the next hour packing tiles across that roof, and he probably packed about twice to 3 times as many as I could. He was definitely a strong man. Over the years, I've learned a lot from Larry. Been all over Lincoln City, Tri-Cities, my house he helped me roof. And I'll always remember those times. Little did I know, a week ago last Wednesday, when Mom called me to come help, moving from the living room to the bedroom, the last time I'd see him. But in that short time I was there, I sat and talked with him. He wasn't able to talk back. I figured at that time he'd probably had another ITA. But he would acknowledge with his eyes and he'd nod. And as I talked to him, a tear came to his eye. I told him I loved him. And I was proud of him. I was proud to have been in his life. It meant a lot to me, and I'm glad I was able to let him know in those last few hours of his life.
I just remember growing up with him and going over to sleepover. And we'd always tend the garden and pick the tomatoes and the carrots, and we'd sneak eating them as we were going along. And every single time they got new chickens, he'd be so excited to show us the chicks in the box in the garage. And every single time we slept over, we'd always have oatmeal and raisins for breakfast, and I hated it. And whenever we'd go out and hang out, and he'd always be in his rocking chair in his spot in the living room, and I'm so mad at him because he was supposed to go to my wedding.
You missed out.
But he made me a beautiful clock as a wedding gift. He made me, when I was little, he made me a beautiful necklace, a cross necklace, a jewelry box that I still use. I just so wish I was here to say goodbye. I just miss him.
I'm really bad at this type of stuff, so since I got the call from my sister, I think it was last Thursday, I've been thinking about what I was going to say, and there's just so much, from going to go do roofing, him doing all the little projects that he would do for us around the house, and there's a couple different instances that I remember the most. I remember my little sister and I, when we went camping at Sage Hen, we found this big piece of log, and we really wanted to bring it down for firewood. So we spent, I don't know, it felt like a couple hours or something. She claims she did most of the pushing. But we rolled it down, and it was too rotten to be used as firewood, so he created a totem out of it. And I remember it sitting outside of our garage for years, and it just held up so nicely. I don't know where it went, but I remember that specifically. And then when we were in Job's Daughters, when I was doing my installation, I believe, he made us a bunch of crosses for my installation. He just did a lot of stuff for us, and all of that meant so much. And I wish I was there to be able to be there for you guys. I thought about you guys all the time, and I'm so sorry. I do love you guys, and yeah.
I knew him most when I was younger, but he made me and my little brother trucks and stuff out of wood to play with, and whenever he brought chickens, he always showed us the box, and he always got really excited about that. He would occasionally show us around the shop, and we'd look at stuff, and I just wished that I could have said one last goodbye.
Grandpa Larry's impact on my life is immeasurable. I just got back from deployment on Friday. Thankfully, we were able to postpone this memorial service so that I could be here. My wife, Katie, called me on Thursday. I'd just gotten my tickets to come back that morning. And I've been trying to think what to say about this man who shaped almost every aspect of my life in one way or another. And thinking just now, I didn't even know he wasn't my grandfather until I was almost a teenager. When my mother's father came back to Idaho to stay and he wanted to meet us, I couldn't wrap my head around the idea that the man that I'd known my entire life, who'd call us when we were in Virginia and ask us what's for dinner, and we'd all run outside looking for their truck to see what they were visiting about this time. And I didn't realize how much of an impact that would have on my life at the time until I met my wife and stepdaughter. And the unconditional love that he showed us as a step-grandfather, but one that we didn't know for most of our childhood was our step-grandfather. Even though I did see him this year, it still doesn't seem like it was enough. I hope if we can take His Spirit and continue with it into our lives.
Okay, I'm going to read a letter that our daughter Becca wrote to Katrina. Maybe. I'm sitting here looking out my window at our garden and thinking of Larry. He would have loved the birds, though he probably would have told us how to get the weeds out of the lawn and how to take care of those locust sprouts. Larry was so smart, always right to the point of a problem. Just figured it out. The many things he made us, our clock, our coasters, cheese boards, and more, are part of our everyday lives. I see him and his talent every day. I think his ability to plan and see a vision has helped John and I envision our own home. As John said, Larry always wanted to fix everything beyond what we wanted fixed. Like our rustic chairs, he wanted to restain. Oh, how he rolled his eyes at me explaining I wanted him to look distressed. I wanted the projects we worked on with you and Larry helped us learn new skills and taught us to trust our own two hands. Even if it wasn't perfect, it was done with love. Larry was there when I first watched a tape performance of George Carlin. He stayed to celebrate my wedding. He was at the Thanksgiving I got to be home for, and he met my children. He was such a big part of my family. His stubborn ability to make things and make things happen were so appreciated. More than anything, he was there, usually with a smart remark. Know that we are grieving with you. We desperately wish we could be there now. We want to support you in any way we can. As soon as we are able, we will be on your porch, looking at your beautiful garden, remembering a remarkable man who gave himself freely and who taught those around him to trust themselves to figure it out and to get something done. With all of our love, Rebecca, John, Jasper, and Gwen. So I did have to sit down at the computer and I did have to write it out or I wouldn't make it. So many memories of Larry and Katrina because they were a team. They were always together. I cannot think of one without remembering the other. Larry made my sister's life an adventure. They traveled to all the states but Alaska. They lived in a fifth-wheel trailer on building sites where he roofed and she helped him out, or she made wind chimes or cut out little animal silhouettes. But they took the time to drive halfway across Oregon to meet me and take our mom for a couple weeks of respite care. After Larry retired from roofing, they bought a house near Caldwell. We took one memorable trip up to Sagehen, and we went huckleberrying, and we enjoyed a campfire that night. Oh, we talked through a lot of things. And things changed. Hurts were acknowledged, and trust began to be given a little. That was when I felt Larry finally said, okay, I'll let you in a little bit. They would come over to help with our projects, just like everybody, usually just doing them, but always willing to give of their time and their knowledge. We replaced a bunch of old corral boards down at the ranch. Well, they took them home. They made them into benches, clocks, birdhouses, flower boxes, cornhole games. That then I came up with the idea that we should make Tim and Joe and Becca all one. And Larry said, oh no, your sister's got another project. Slowly, Larry let me give him a hug goodbye. He still kind of shrugged out of it. And he still wasn't completely sure about me. We four took a drive to Donley together for the Johannes Day picnic. All of us Finns together. Katrina and I learned a lot about our family history and reunited with cousins. Larry and Clay sat in the back and just talked and shared stories. And soon this became their way. Katrina and I'd take off to go do something, talking away, and they would sit and share stories. They were so similar in so many ways. And he let me hug him a little bit more. Larry found ways to make us laugh, though. He had a $100 bill, Hollywood money, to our parking meter out front. He says, see if anybody can top that. For Christmas one year, they gave us a bag of coffee. Very special coffee. They couldn't wait for us to get home to have this coffee, brew it up. I opened the bag and I went, this smells like old tires. We even brewed some up. It still smelled like old tires. It was awful. But we had a good laugh about it. One of their hallmarks became, if that's still there after dark, because they would find things along the road. And they could have outfitted an entire house with different things that they found. And they shared a lot of those things that they found. Just my last birthday, they showed up at 8 o'clock in the morning because I had a busy day. I had lots of things. I told my sister I have stuff to do. 7:45, they come rolling in. And it was nice to sit on the patio, share a cup of coffee and a few good laughs and start the day with them. I will miss those sideways hugs. His crazy grin, his refusal to eat my 2 done brownies, and his genuine love. He always put Katrina first. He did get the better sister, after all. And so I'm going to end with this. This song sums it up. Sums Larry and Katrina. I played it for them at their wedding on October 22nd, 1994. And it was the very truth of their relationship. It's I Swear by John Michael Montgomery.
See the questions in your eyes. I know what's weighing on your mind, but you can be sure I know my part. 'Cause I stand beside you through the years. You'll only cry those happy tears. And though I'll make mistakes, I'll never break your heart. I swear by the moon and the stars in the sky, I'll be there. I swear like a shadow that's by your side, I'll be there. Till death do us part, I'll love you with every beat of my heart. I swear. I'll give you everything I can. I'll build your dreams with hang some memories on the wall. And when there's still